Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're going to do something just a little bit different today. I am in the hangar in the Piper Archer 2, and we're going to do a little preview and boot up of the Aera 760. I know you guys that have watched some of our videos see the Aera 760, and I thought it would be good if we just power it up in the hangar and push all the buttons so that you can kind of see what everything does. One thing I don't like is the glare on the screen, and you can see that now. It's not very video friendly, but I'm going to do the best I can. And the rest of the instruments, we got the GI 275 attitude indicator, HSI, and the EIS. I may try to power those up too and give you a little preview. Then we've got the GMA 345 audio panel, GNC 355 GPS comm, the GNC 255 Navcom, and the 345 GTX Garmin transponder. So we've got ADSB in and out, and we can display our TCAS or FISB through the Aera 760. So it's kind of nice and gives you a lot of information about the traffic, the identification of the aircraft if it's in registered, the altitude, closure rate, ground speed, things like that. It's incredible, especially for a Piper Archer. Anyway, we'll get started, and remember, if you like the video, be sure and give us a thumbs up and subscribe and ring the bell. Now, normally whenever you go to battery power on, so if you go down here and turn the battery switch on, you're going to get power to the GI 275, so they'll begin to boot up. And then when we go to avionics on, which is the switch here, we'll get everything else. Now remember, the GI 275s and the Garmin Aera 760 are battery backup. So the Aera 760 has about a 4.5 hour battery life, and the GI 275s have a 1.5 hour battery life. So the EIS always prompts you for the fuel load, whatever you have on board. We've got 33 gallons. Our total time on the airplane is 28:59.7, and the Hobbs is 28:41.9, and TAC hours 42:72. So total time on the airplane is 28:59.7. So we'll accept that. And of course, this is unusual in this airplane because we do have a manifold pressure gauge. It was an option with Piper. This airplane did not have that, but when we went to the EIS and we put all of this instrumentation in, I said, well, if it's available, let's do it. So it's going to read ambient pressure, which is 29 inches. So that's the 29.0 that you see there. The oil temperature is 54 degrees, cylinder head temperature is 58 degrees, and our bus voltage is 12.2 because we are on the battery. We do not have it plugged in. So you're reading the battery bus voltage. And there's our attitude indicator. We do have synthetic vision, and our HSI here. So anyway, as we go back over, you can see that our Aera 760 has booted up.
Terrain system not available.
And it says terrain system not available. I don't know if you could hear that or not because we haven't accepted the database. I'll go ahead and push to accept. Now, since we're in this condition, we're draining the battery. So what I'm going to do is switch the battery off. Actually, I'm going to turn the avionics off first. So we'll kill the main stack of avionics, and it says external power lost. I don't know if you can read that or not. I know the glare's bad. I'm doing the best I can. And there's no indication really that you've lost power here, except you have a message here. So if you want to retrieve that message, you take the small knob, you hold it down, and it'll say message. So let's see what it is. AHARS 1 not receiving GPS aiding. Okay, so we can get rid of that by touching the screen, and we have a message here. probably the same message because they're all connected together. AHARS 1, not receiving GPS. So we'll go back over. We'll shut the battery down to keep from draining our battery. Now we're on standby power, so I'm going to select stay on. And so you'll see a little battery indication here. I don't know if you can see that. It's green. Kind of looks like a cell phone. Now let's go back and check our messages and see what it tells us. USB and wireless unavailable. Let's check this one. Power fault. So that tells us, hey, we've lost DC power. So we'll accept those. And you can touch anywhere on the screen to get rid of those messages, which I kind of like. You don't have to reverse back out of the menu. You could just touch the screen and it'll go back. So let's go back over here and accept external power loss, not receiving GPS navigator. Well, that's because now we're on independent source, and I have selected inside the Aera 760 to use the GPS on board the airplane. It does have an independent AHARS and an independent GPS that you can use. So if you run a loss of battery power, you could go in and you could select this device solely without the ship's information, and you could continue to use this for 4.5 hours. So you could go into menu and you can change what you want. And you can see, it's got a vast menu. He uses Connects technology, and see if you have attitude source here. You can do internal, and then if you go back, let's back out of there. Now we're on internal source. Now it's not giving us any GPS guidance or information, so it's not available because we're in the hangar, so there's no GPS fix. So I'm going to go back, go to more options, and I want to put this back on Connects because when we go flying today, I want it to be getting its information from the GNC 355. But you can see the bug indicator. We have it on bearing. You've got ground speed, altitude. You can put it in AGL, heading, lateral deviation, vertical speed, slip skid, synthetic vision, airport signs, and traffic. So that's just one page. And no matter where you find yourself, let's go back here. You can hit map, and then you can always hit menu to determine what you want displayed on your map. So I know the glare is bad. I hope you can see this, but let's say we want to animate the weather. We can select that. Or if you want to declutter, you can get rid of traffic, you can get rid of shading, weather charts, and you can choose whatever you'd like. Personally, I like charts to be able to be displayed. I like weather, and I like traffic. And you even have fuel prices. So if you're going somewhere, you want to look at the fuel prices along your route, maybe choose something that suits your needs, you can pull it up here. So let's go back and look at en route charts. And this is great. You can go to menu. Once again, you can choose chart type, helicopter, IFR, IFR low, VFR. It's got something for everybody. I'll just choose VFR because of what we're doing today. But you've got graphics, pretty much anything you want. And if we go back to 3D vision, once again, it's not available because we're sitting inside the hangar. But it's incredible, the display. Nearest, none within 200 miles because we don't have GPS position. Waypoints, this is a good deal too. You can go back, show map, show en route chart. Maybe I need to move the airplane outside so you guys can get a better view. Flight plan list, if you want to put in a new flight plan. Now, something with this particular Aera 760, we have it set up to where you can put the flight plan in the GNC 355 and it will push it over to the Aera 760. But if you put it into the 760, it will not push it into the GNC 355. Because technically, even though this Aera 760 is panel mounted, it is not IFR approved. So we just have it in here for reference, weather, traffic. I mean, it's got a lot of great information, and the attitude indicator is incredible. You can navigate on it. You could shoot an approach on it, but it's not IFR approved. But it could save your life if you found yourself with no battery power, alternator dead, you're running on your magnetos, and the last thing you have left is this Aera 760. It's got a lot of capabilities, internal AHRs. It'll do a lot of things for you. Now, one thing I am going to do, I'm going to turn the battery switch back on. And once I do that, we're going to be receiving battery power again on our GI 275s. And let's check and see what our battery voltage is here. We're at 12.3, that's good. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to shut the battery power off, and then I'm going to select off on our GI 275s. So I can force them off, or they'll go off in a minute if you don't acknowledge it and ask it to stay powered. So anyway, let's go back to our home page again. Another good thing is tools. You can go to flight log, and it will keep track of every flight that you've taken. Now you can clear this out, you can transmit this to other documents, but you can see our last flight was from Wiley Post back to Guthrie, 7/10. So if you're keeping logbook, this is a really handy tool. You can go into menu, you can show hours and minutes if you don't want it in tenths, or you can delete it. Let's go back. Weight and balance. This is a great tool. This is set up specifically for this airplane. So I know that we've got 33 gallons of fuel on board. So I'm going to select that, enter it. And I'll be flying with my son today. We have no passengers, so I'm going to put 0 in there. And our weight is 2174. So if you want to take the information here, you can look at the graph in the pilot operating handbook or the flight manual and see if you're in the center of gravity or not. But how cool is that? You know, and if you have a weight shift, or if you need to add a package to the baggage compartment, we leave it at 5 pounds because we have a few items back there. But passengers, passenger 1 and 2, really cool stuff. And if you want to restore the defaults or just put empty aircraft, it'll calculate that for you too. Data link's not available now because we have everything off, but it's got some good information. And if you want to download, I can connect my cell phone to this. Obviously these expired April 22nd, which was it was today actually. And I can download those by going to Fly Garmin, setting up a Wi-Fi hotspot here, as you can see, and transfer that information from my iPhone directly to the Aera 760. So that's pretty cool. System info, it'll tell you all the subscriptions. We basically subscribe to everything. I mean, we've got terrain, we've got AOPA, we've got US, Canada, Europe, obstacles, flight charts, everything you can imagine we've subscribed to on here. Track logs, this is another thing that's pretty cool. If you're doing pattern work or flying around and you want to see what your track was, you can save that here. And we also have the Garmin Verb, and the Garmin Verb will do that as well. And when you download that, you can display your track and take a look at it, which is kind of cool. VNav, we have a standard profile built in there, 500 feet per minute, 1,000 foot altitude above waypoint by 3 nautical miles. So 3 nautical miles before a fix is what we have programmed in there. And we get a message. We have the VNav message on, so it'll count it down, estimated time to VNav, and it'll display that on the home page. You have an E6B, If you want to calculate the old E6B, you can do it here electronically. And then you have another page here. And here's how we can control our verb camera. I don't have the camera on right now, but you can select verb and it will search for your verb. And if you want to add a new verb, I think you can have up to 6 cameras and control them all through the Aera 760. So like when we're flying around, got the verb going, and I want to take pictures, it'll give me an option up here to do that. So I can just touch a button and take pictures at will. So that's another neat thing. Power info. Battery life is at 3 hours right now. The book says I believe you get 4.5 out of that. But I could dim this down and probably create battery life. So right now battery life is 6.5 hours. The more demand on the device, the less time you're going to have, obviously. So I have it on full bright in here now, and we have 3 hours. Timer. This is kind of neat. You can start the timer using this, but there's actually an easier way to do that. If you go up here and click on the clock, 5:32 p.m. here Central Time, but it'll bring up the timer as well. So this is just easy. Like if they say, give you a crossing restriction, hey, be at a fix in 5 minutes, you can just boom, hit it, start, and then the clock goes to your timer. So if you want to discontinue that, reset it, reset timer, yes, and there you go. We're back to clock. So anyway, that's a few things. We'll try to get the airplane outside here in just a few minutes and get a GPS signal, and then maybe we can go through some more of the menu on the attitude indicator and stuff. So we'll be right back. I'm going to move the airplane outside. The weather's a little bit rainy today, but ceiling's good, visibility's good, so we're going to go for a flight. But I'll move the airplane out, and we'll take a look at some other stuff when we get some GPS signal. See you in a bit.